what $1 million can get us in some of the top 10 places and most highly sought after places to live in the United States.
Harry Dent Jr. says the housing market in the worst everything bubble.
Hi, welcome to Melissa's Money Mindset. So today's video is going to be for all the real estate nerds out there, including myself. Now, if you've been paying attention to the real estate market at all, then you know that we've seen a very, very slight reprieve from the excruciatingly high interest rates of just a few months ago, but primary residence interest rates are still hovering between 6 and 7%. And largely, we're not seeing any price adjustments in the price of homes. So in today's video, I thought it could be fun to basically do a virtual road trip across the United States and see what $1 million can get us in some of the top 10 places and most highly sought after places to live in the United States. Now, if you want to see just how far your money can stretch and just what $1 million can buy you, then stick around. But before we hop into the video, if you could please do me a huge favor and like this video, subscribe to my channel, and don't forget to hit that notification bell so that you never miss another money-making tip. Let's get right into it. So let's first start out with some rules and criteria so that we can fairly compare all 10 of these cities against each other in terms of cost of living and price of housing. So rule number 1, the property must be a house, specifically a detached home. So no townhomes, no apartments, and no condos. Also, no plots of land. It has to be an actual detached home. Rule number 2, the address of the property must have the city's name. So we're gonna have to make an exception here for New York, but in general, no cheating and using a suburb where properties are usually less expensive. And rule number 3, the house must of course fit within our $1 million budget. Not $1,025,000, not $1,050,000, $1 million or less. So today I'm going to be using Zillow since we're searching for residential property. Now, if I was going to be looking at commercial property, which I'll do in a future video, I always use Crexi. So according to Zillow's mortgage calculator, we're going to say that the home price is $1 million as we discussed. We're assuming we can afford to put down 20%, so $200,000. And for the sake of this video, we're just going to keep it simple with a 30-year fixed mortgage. And it looks like the average interest rate for today in terms of current market rates is 6.81%. So that means that your monthly mortgage payment is going to be roughly $60 to $100 on your $1 million home. Now that means that bare bones, in order to afford a $1 million home, you would have to make on average $150,000 per year, assuming that you don't have any other loans, meaning you don't have any other mortgages, you don't have any car loans, you don't have any student loans, and you don't carry any credit card debt. And that's also assuming that you're willing to take on a 50% DTI or debt to income ratio. And honestly, most lenders want you to stay at most below 45% DTI. Now, if you wanted to be a smarter investor, which I highly advise, I would recommend keeping your DTI somewhere between 26 and 36%, meaning that if you're accounting for loans in any of those other sectors that I previously mentioned, or maybe you just want to have a little bit of cash left over in your pocket, you'll want to make somewhere between $210,000 and $290,000 per year to comfortably afford a $1 million house. All right, so let's head on over to Zillow. All right, so first we're going to head over to Boston, Massachusetts, home of the Red Sox, Dunkin' Donuts, and of course nearby Harvard University. So this area is generally pretty well known for their brownstones, which all tend to be kind of townhouse type buildings. So again, those will all technically be disqualified for the sake of today's real estate game. So I'm interested to see what else we're going to find here. So tip for using Zillow, I usually type in the city and the state, and then it will automatically outline the defined area of the city limits. So technically we're gonna have to search within these boundaries if we want an address that is technically in Boston proper, Massachusetts. Now, of course, if you are actually looking for a home, I highly recommend removing this border. That's what I do all the time. You can just click on remove boundary right here and it will remove that for you. All right, so let's zoom in and see what we can find here. So I'm gonna set our price to $975,000 up to a maximum of $1 million. And I'm going to do this drop down here, deselect all, and then click on houses. So slim pickings here in Boston for a detached home, literally nothing unless we go way south. So let's check out these houses here. Here's a 4-bed, 4-bath, 2,400 square feet for $999. All right, I'm gonna open that one. Here's one 6-bed, 2-bath for 2,600 square feet, $990,000 with a potential in-law suite. And here's one for $1 million. Ooh, that's a good one. Oh, but it's not in actual Boston. Okay, neither is that one. So there's literally one house. So here's our one house listed in Boston, Massachusetts, and it actually has had a recent price cut of $121,000. So it looks like there is actually a price adjustment happening here. This house was listed about a month ago, a little bit more than a month ago, and they've already dropped the price almost 11%. So if you live in Boston and you're looking for a house around $1 million, I would highly suggest maybe giving these people a lowball offer. The house itself seems super cute, and I also like that it has a detached garage. I feel like that's probably pretty hard to find, and it's a detached 2-car garage. And the inside of the house looks like it's been pretty well maintained. Obviously nothing super luxurious, but for being in a highly sought after area, I think this is a no-brainer. So our next destination is New York, New York, which I would arguably say is the marketing capital of the United States if you've ever been to Times Square. New York, New York is also known for the Statue of Liberty, the Empire State Building, Broadway shows, the 9/11 Memorial, and of course, Central Park. So I will honestly be shocked if we can find some places here for less than $1 million. The cost of living in New York, New York is astronomical, but let's take a look. So the first thing that I wanted to point out for New York, New York is that actually it's broken up into 5 separate boroughs, which Zillow doesn't really differentiate on their map. So the 5 boroughs include Manhattan, Brooklyn, Queens, Staten Island, and the Bronx. So in this instance, I'm going to make an exception to one of our rules and just say that it doesn't have to have a New York, New York address. I think commercial buildings can have a New York, New York address, but I haven't honestly found a residential building with a New York, New York address. I could be wrong though. Let me know in the comments down below. All right, so I have filtered for price here. I'm going to deselect all and just select houses, and we'll see what we can find. So that looks terrifying. This one looks cute. Let's open that. So I think in theory, I would prioritize real estate here along the Hudson River, but it doesn't necessarily need to be over there. All right, so this is one that I say would probably be the best location. It's in the Bronx. It's a 4-bed, 4-bath. It was built in 1910, so it's pretty old, but honestly, this is probably pretty good, pretty decent value for money. I mean, it definitely needs to be updated. In my opinion, this looks like it was potentially a rental at some point. And why is every room a different color of the rainbow? Riddle me that. This looks, yeah, like it had been rented out at some point because there's a separate entrance for a lot of the rooms. This one has a kitchenette inside of it. It has a rooftop deck. So I wouldn't be surprised if this had been a rental unit at some point. This one looks okay. Again, I'm not super thrilled about the gate outside of the front, so I'm going to keep looking. This house is pretty cute. It's on a 4,000 square foot lot. It does not tell you the square footage of the home for some reason, but it's a 3-bed, 1-bath. This one has just had a price cut. This one's over on Staten Island. This is probably the most updated house that we've seen, and it has a garage, which is nice. I think that's going to be really hard for people to find. Oh, I don't like the floor though. That's not good. But you could always put in some LVP or put in some hardwood on the main floor and kind of brighten it up a little bit. This is just completely whitewashed. Okay, so I think that's a good option. This one looks like an okay option too. So it does seem like Staten Island offers a few more good options than actual mainland New York does. And if you're looking for more of an old style house, I thought that this one on the outside was pretty cute. So roughly 1,900 square feet-ish for $1 million in New York. And that's being generous. All right, our next destination on our virtual road trip is Nashville, Tennessee. So known for its music, home to the Country Music Hall of Fame. I have a feeling there will probably be ample housing available in Nashville for $1 million. Nashville's very like up and coming but I don't think that it's really hit its peak yet. So let's zoom in here. I'm going to clarify that we are looking for a house, and we'll see what we can get. So let's take a look at all the Nashville options here. So here's one, 3,500 square feet. So it is $287 a square foot. It looks like it's on almost an acre, and it looks like it's been renovated. So it looks pretty builder grade, but nice. And it has a pool, so that's great. So I think this is a perfect option. Very white on white. Again, you could put your own personal touch on it if you want to. Here's another one. Looks like a new build in 2023. It's on a super, super tiny lot, but it's a 4-bed, 4-bath house, and it looks beautiful. I mean, it's very modern if that's your style. If it's not, then this might not so be for you. But this is a great option too, also for $1 million. So as I kind of guessed, ample opportunity for $1 million in Nashville. And it looks like some of it's just sitting too. So this had a price cut, so definitely room to negotiate. So again, don't be afraid to negotiate. Here's another new build, also very modern. Has a little bit more color to it. I want to have some color in the kitchen cabinets. So this could be a good mixture if you're looking for something like that. I like that tile in the bathroom. Here's another one. What the heck is this? This is a huge house, almost 5,000 square feet. And why does the outside look like a castle? Okay. I think this one looks pretty nice. It's more like traditional style, tall ceilings, has some color and some character to it. And then finally, I found this one. Again, a huge, huge house. Dude, I'm so jealous of these people. Almost 5,000 square feet. I am so jealous. I am so jealous. I wish you could get this where I live for $1 million. Almost 5,000 square feet for $1 million. You get a 2-car garage. You're on 0.26 acres. Granted, you do have a small HOA. $218 a square foot. That is unheard of where I live. So could definitely maybe use some upkeep. So again, this looks like it's been newly renovated, potentially on the inside. And they just went with kind of like white on white everything, but it does at least have some hardwood floors to get some color in there. So yeah, if you live in Nashville, you got plenty of options. All right, so on to our next destination and where I went to school, Madison, Wisconsin. So Madison is of course known for its Badgers, go Badgers, and of course for beer and cheese, and also the Packers, which the Packers play a little bit north of Madison. But I feel like the real estate market has really taken off in Madison since I left about 7 years ago. When I was there going to school and renting, I think I was paying somewhere like $700 a month for a bedroom. And I did have some roommates at one point, so I think I was paying as little as like $500 per month. But the Madison real estate market has seriously taken off. I still think it hasn't reached its peak yet though. So I think we're going to be able to get at least a decent amount for $1 million, but let's see what we can get. Okay, so for $1 million, I literally see 2 properties. Okay. And they look quite different. So let's take a look at these. The one downtown definitely looks more like Victorian, old school. You can see all the rock on the outside, and then look at this teeny tiny garage. I don't even know if a modern day car would fit in that teeny tiny garage door. But anyway, 2,800 square feet. It's a 4-bed, 3-bath, and the inside is just very traditional. So if you value, you know, old timey features like this, then this could be right up your alley. Again, here we go with all the different colored rooms. Now there's a mural on the wall. And then of course the basement reminds me of my grandparents' house, but it looks like it might back up to potentially a little stream. All right, so let's take a look at the other option in Madison. So this one is a huge house, 5,500 square feet, 5 beds, 5 baths, and it's on a small acreage. So 2.5 acres, no HOA, $177 a square foot. I am beyond jealous. All right, so these people do have their nice acreage. Oh my God. Wow, the texture on that ceiling is too much for me. But all fixable. Oh wow, look at this. The horse on the horse head on the stairs there. Okay, and of course wallpaper. Wouldn't be an old house without wallpaper. So yeah, I mean, it definitely needs to be updated, but you know, you're buying an acreage and a huge property. So I feel like for $975, that's a steal. And for $177 a square foot, all day. All right, the next stop is Kansas City, Missouri. So Kansas City is known, of course, for their Chiefs football team, their barbecue, and their fountains. So I learned that their downtown actually has more than 200 fountains, second in the world only to Rome, Italy. Now, I feel like in Kansas City, not a very high cost of living area, so I'm assuming we're gonna get some pretty large homes here. Let's take a look. All right, so this is the largest house by far. Oh my God, almost 7,700 square feet for $975,000. Now, this looks like a pretty old, almost historic Central Hyde Park neighborhood. So let's take a look at what the inside looks like. So it definitely could use some updating. And usually in these older kind of historic homes, the layout of the house isn't always ideal. But you know what? For 7,700 square feet, I think you could make almost anything work. You can always renovate the house. Let's see what the price per square foot is. $127 per square foot. Yowzers. Okay, and then here, if we wanted to kind of juxtapose a historic house with a much newer house, let's see when this one was built. Built in 2024. So this is brand new. So no one's even lived here yet. Okay, so this is much smaller. So 3,400 square feet. That's still a big house, but let's see. The inside, again, kind of builder grade, but it does look nice. So I guess it kind of depends and is totally up to you. Obviously, if you're in the Kansas City real estate market, if you want an older historic home, that's a mansion, or if you want a much more modernized, newer, potentially more luxurious home. So Kansas City definitely also has a lot of options for less than $1 million. So the next stop on our virtual road trip is Boulder, Colorado. This is very close to where I live. So I feel very spoiled. I get to live right near the Rocky Mountains, and Boulder probably has some of the most beautiful weather that you could find in the entire country. It's sunny here approximately 300 days out of the year. Boulder is also known, and Colorado in general, for its great skiing, its hiking, our Flatiron View, and also CU Boulder, which is right downtown. Now, before we even start looking, I can tell you housing prices in Boulder, while they're not necessarily LA prices quite yet, I'm sure we're gonna get there. We've seen an astronomical increase in housing prices even since I moved here about 7 years ago. So don't be surprised for how little you get for your money. All right, so I opened up a few options. So if you want to kind of be like in a burb of Boulder, you can definitely get more for your money. So this is almost 3,400 square feet for $975. So that's $288 a square foot. But if you want to be right downtown, this is a actual plot of land for $1 million. So usually in Boulder County, an acre of land or less is going for about $1 million. Now, since this plot of land is downtown, it of course comes at even more of a premium. So 6,700 square foot lot is literally 0.15 acres and you're just buying dirt. Then you have to pay to build your house on top of it. So astronomical pricing, especially in Boulder itself. Now here's another house in Boulder, more downtown, 1,200 square feet for $1 million. Although they recently did have a price cut. So again, I would say lowball offers are definitely not out of the equation at all. This real estate market is bonkers. So you kind of have to just make it work for you. Don't overspend. Try to find a house that's going to work for you and your budget. And I would say don't get emotionally attached to a house until you're under contract. And even so, things can always go wrong even when you're under contract. So just kind of bear that in mind until you have signed on the dotted line. And look at the price per square foot is almost $800 a square foot. So yeah, that's definitely LA pricing. So we'll see if they actually get that. The next stop on our road trip is Austin, Texas. So Austin is the capital of Texas, and it's also turning into quite the bustling tech hub. We've seen a lot of tech companies move into Austin recently, and that's really driven up the cost of housing in Austin and surrounding areas. So let's take a look at what we can find here. Okay, so it looks like you can still actually afford a good, decent amount of property for $1 million in Austin, Texas. So this is 3,200 square feet for $1 million, and it looks like it's been sitting for a while. Of course, all these houses will likely have a pool, which is a pro. Granted, you're trading that for over 100-degree heat most of the summer, which I personally could not do, but to each their own. So this looks like a beautiful home. Here's another one, 3,400 square feet for $975. Here's yet another one, 3,300 square feet for $995. If you want to be a little bit more remote, same thing. You can get a 3-acre lot, similar size home for $999,000. $999. So if you have $1 million budget, it looks like you have not yet been priced out of Austin, Texas. I would look into it sooner rather than later. All right, so now we're heading over to Las Vegas, Nevada. So obviously home to the famous Las Vegas Strip, to lots of gambling, and of course it's nightlife. So it seems like most of the real estate in Las Vegas is pretty stable. It seems pretty consistently priced, and some of it is even sitting longer, so you could probably get a little bit better deal if you can be patient or if you want to make a lowball offer. And none of it seems, super old. Like at least in Colorado, there's so much 60s product, 70s product where you have to worry about asbestos. It seems like a lot of this Las Vegas product is pretty new. All right, so here a 2,700 square foot home for $989, $371 a square foot. Here's another one, a 3,700 square foot home. That's pretty big, $264 a square foot, listed for $980. And yeah, that one was built in 2023. Here's another one built in 1985, so a little bit older, 2,700 square foot home for $999,000. And then here's another one with a nice big pool, 2,700 square feet, built in the 80s as well, for $975,000. So again, it seems like if you live in or around Las Vegas and you have $1 million budget, you do have, again, ample opportunity. And of course, most of these houses come with a pool as well, just like the houses in Texas, because Vegas sees some heat in the summer. So be prepared if you're planning on moving there. All right, and now our second to last stop is Los Angeles, California. Los Angeles is of course known for the Hollywood sign, the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and its stunning sea views and rich culture. Now, I'm not expecting much for $1 million in LA, but let's take a look and see what exactly we can find. Okay, so this first home, kind of cute on the outside, but it has bars on the doors and windows. So again, does not instill a lot of confidence. So I'm going to close that one. This one is pretty cute, 994 square feet. Yeah, $1,000 a square foot. That's pretty spot on for LA pricing. And if you're looking at really nice houses, I think you can even get up to about $3,000 per square foot. Here's another one, 1,200 square feet for $995. This one looks nice. And it looks like it might even have a little bit of a view, so that would be perfect. This one is really tucked away. Again, $1,000 a square foot. This one is cheaper, so you get a little bit more house. It's 1,700 square feet, and they just cut the price $155,000. So definitely room to negotiate. I just wanted to show this one because I thought that this fireplace was stunning. So you're definitely not obviously going to get as much for your money in LA, but it's kind of a trade-off for living in a beautiful place, living in a place with beautiful weather pretty much year round. You're going to have to pay a premium and also a lot more in taxes too. So prepare yourself for that. Okay, so our final stop on our virtual road trip is Seattle, Washington, another place that is just near and dear to my heart and potentially one of the only places that would ever make me move out of Colorado. So Seattle is known for, of course, its delicious seafood. I miss it so much. Its ocean and mountain views, the Space Needle, and of course, Pike Place Market and its coffee. Now, again, the prices of home in Seattle are very high, just like Boulder, Colorado, just like LA, just like New York City. So let's take a look at exactly what we could afford for $1 million in Seattle. All right, so here is a 1,700 square foot detached home for $980. It looks like it was either just renovated or just built. Oh, built in 2024. Yeah. Okay, great. Here's one for 1,900 square feet, 3-bed, 2-bath, $526 per square foot for $999,000. At least the nice part here is that each house comes with at least a single family garage. Here's another one. They all consistently seem to be right around that $500 to $600-ish per square foot range. And then finally, this one is a little bit farther south, but it does give you a nice view, which is always pretty important to me as a home buyer. So this one is 1,900 square feet for $999,000. They just cut the price by $11,000. So potentially room, if it's not moving how they want, to make a deal. Granted, here you can see the view of Seattle. Here you can kind of see all the hills, the rolling hills that go right into Seattle. But I don't know that you'll have a water view for $1 million. So that's what $1 million can get you in some of these highly sought after cities across the United States. And it's really interesting to see how location and desirability of that specific location has such a strong effect on housing prices. It's also really interesting to see where people are moving to and where people are moving away from. And again, how that affects the real estate markets in both of those areas. Now, drop a comment down below if you live in any of the areas that I mentioned. And if you are shopping for a house, happy house hunting. I hope you find the perfect home for you. As always, feel free to follow me on my social channels right here, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.